first, fast, accurate with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 6.
New details at 6 on breaking news in Fulton County. Late this afternoon, the prosecutor's office charged 24-year-old Alyssa Shepard in a deadly accident involving kids trying to get on a school bus. She's facing 3 felony counts of reckless homicide and a misdemeanor count of driving around a school bus causing bodily injury.
The victims who died are from the same family, twin 6-year-old brothers and their 9-year-old sister. An 11-year-old boy is in the hospital tonight. This all happened this morning on State Road 25, just north of Rochester.
We begin our team coverage with WSBT 22's Caitlin Connon. And Caitlin, that community is also hoping for the recovery of another young boy.
The accident killed 6-year-old twin brothers Xavier and Mason Engel, as well as their 9-year-old sister Olivia Stahl. But it sent 11-year-old Maverick Lowe to the hospital. As this community prays for Maverick's recovery, they also have to come to terms with the loss of Xavier, Mason, and Olivia.
It was just not knowing what had happened and how everyone was for a half hour. That was terrifying.
Tamara Mejia's daughter was on that bus those children were trying to board.
I didn't really know them that well, but smiles on their face whenever I saw them. So they were always, they were good kids.
Police say the kids were crossing State Road 25 to get on the bus. It had its flashing lights on and crossing bar extended. Police say that's when 24-year-old Alyssa Shepard, heading the opposite direction, hit all 4 kids with her pickup.
Kids are kids, and we just need to love them all and be happy for the day that we do have them.
Officers investigating also struggled with today's tragedy.
This is not normal, seeing 2 little boys that are twins laying there, just not normal.
Officers say Xavier, Mason, and Olivia's dad confirmed they were his kids.
I just can't imagine that pain. I haven't seen troopers cry in a long time, but I saw that today. Our heart just breaks for him and his family, and it's just a terrible situation we're having to deal with.
Slocum and Carter say they spent hours at the scene today trying to make sure they did everything right, trying to make sure they get answers for the parents whose 4 little kids were just trying to go to school.
Just because we're leaving doesn't mean we're done. What that means is we're leaving, we're just getting started.
Police told me Alyssa Shepard has been cooperating with the investigation. She now faces 3 counts of reckless homicide, as well as a count of passing a school bus resulting in bodily injury. The Fulton County Jail says she is being processed into the jail right now, but we have not heard about any court dates. Live in Fulton County, Caitlin Connon, WSBT 22 News.
All right, Caitlin. WSBT 22's Brooke O'Daniel continues our team coverage tonight.
She is live at Mentone Elementary School, where the kids attended class. Lots of emotion there today, Brooke.
Yes, overwhelming sadness and disbelief from the parents I spoke with today. The school brought in counselors to help the students cope with their grief. A reminder that this school now has 3 empty chairs. Mentone is a small town where everyone seems to know each other. I spoke with Jessica Thompson. Her husband, he coached 9-year-old Olivia Stahl's softball team this spring. She says the little girl was a joy to be around.
She was just very sweet and loving. I don't think that I'd ever seen her frown while she was out there. Of course, we were winning most of the time, so smiles were to be had. But she was just a very caring little girl. She would come up to you and give hugs and high fives and just ask her how she's having fun, and just smiles everywhere.
Olivia is pictured here in the glasses. Jessica said, that the girls played all of the positions. Olivia played a lot at third base. Now, the school declined any requests today for interviews, but they did release a statement earlier today. That statement asked for prayers for the family, students, and staff. Live in Mentone, Brooke O'Daniel, WSBT 22 News.
And make sure to stay with WSBT 22 on air and online for the latest on the investigation into this morning's crash. We'll have updates throughout the night on our website and social media, and live reports tonight at 10 and 11.
We are also following breaking news in Elkhart County, where new technology has helped to solve a cold case. For 7 years, there were few answers about the murder of Goshen College professor James Miller. Now, 23-year-old Winston Corbett is behind bars. The prosecutor says she plans to charge him with murder and attempted murder. WSBT 22's Cassidy Williams is live in Goshen tonight. All right, Cassidy, so what do we know here about what led police to Corbett?
Right now, because the case is ongoing, the prosecutor is releasing few details, but we do know that this morning new lab results came in that the prosecutor says definitively point to Corbett. And also during today's press conference, she outlined a little bit about what happened that night in October 2011. The prosecutor says it all started as an overnight burglary. During the burglary, Linda Miller was viciously attacked, and the prosecutor says her husband, James, came to her aid. James then died after his struggle with the burglar. And 7 years later, the alleged burglar has a name, Winston Corbett. Goshen Police Chief Jose Miller says the work won't end until Corbett is found guilty.
Even though publicly you didn't see much happening, we never let this case go. And we continued on through this, and we're going to continue with this investigation all the way through the end, supporting all the agencies that are part of our unit, the homicide unit for Elkhart County, and the appreciation we have for all the agencies that have helped us and assisted us during this investigation during this time. So I would like to thank them.
Corbett's initial court hearing is next Thursday. He was only 16 at the time of the crime, and the prosecutor says he was a high school student here in Goshen area. Live in Goshen, Cassidy Williams, WSBT 22 News.
Tonight is your last chance to see the candidates square off in Indiana's hotly contested U.S. Senate race. Incumbent Democrat Joe Donnelly, Republican Mike Braun, and Libertarian Lucy Brenton will debate tonight at 7, and you can watch it live on WSBT.com. Last night, I talked to Senator Donnelly about the issues. Tonight, I go beyond the podium with Mr. Braun, a businessman and former state representative from southern Indiana.
It's probably the last thing I really want to do at this stage of my life, but the window opened and I said, hey, at least there's an opportunity now to where there's an agenda that might lend itself to people that have been creative, fixing things and doing things in the real world.
That window was the election of President Donald Trump, who Mike Braun has patterned himself after throughout his campaign. Like Trump, Braun considers himself a successful businessman and Washington outsider.
I ran for this office because I was just sick and tired of the folks that end up going there.
Braun built his nationwide auto parts distribution company from a small local business and prides himself on being American-made and creating American jobs. 900 people work for him in 38 states.
So we're a distributor, and we buy currently 95% of the companies we buy from are American companies. We don't make anything, we just distribute it.
That distribution of foreign-made goods, 25% of his products, according to his account, is what has drawn attacks from Democrats like Donnelly.
So when he says that we're making stuff in China, that's just not true.
But an Associated Press investigation reveals Braun does sell Chinese-made goods under a company he owns called Promax Automotive. Braun's campaign has not said what percentage of Promax parts are made in America. Instead, his campaign calls it a distraction from Donnelly's financial connections to his brother's business, which Braun says relies on Mexican labor to make its product.
He's made a mountain out of a molehill. Everything that he did in his association with a company sent the jobs to Mexico. Big difference.
Healthcare is another topic where there's a big difference between Braun and Donnelly. On his website, Braun calls the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as its detractors prefer, an unmitigated disaster for Hoosier families and businesses.
I was against big government teaming up with big health insurance. I knew 10 years ago when it was passed, it was going to fall apart.
Braun wants to repeal it and replace it, every word of it. He prefers free market health care, not relying on what he calls a government-run health care system. And he rejects his opponent's accusations that he's against supporting coverage of pre-existing conditions.
Of course, they've got outright, lies out there running it in commercials that I'm not supporting covering pre-existing conditions. Well, I did that before Obamacare was even law and have done it for 10 years while holding premiums flat. And I've absolutely said that it would never be for any replacement, for Obamacare if it didn't cover pre-existing conditions.
When it comes to the confirmation of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, Braun told me his campaign got a bump after Donnelly decided to vote against him.
The main takeaway I've gotten from the whole Kavanaugh process is how polarized the country's become politically. Basically, there were 2 points of view, and I think in this case, he is eminently qualified to be judge.
It's been nearly a year and a half since the start of the Mueller investigation into possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. In that time, there have been numerous indictments and plea deals, and it's still going on. Braun calls it a distraction.
Well, I think the American public, and especially Hoosiers I talked to, want it wrapped up quickly. It looks like it has gone on, and the original intention was to see if there was any connection between the Trump campaign and the Russians for collusion, and it clearly doesn't look like that.
One area where Braun and Donnelly do have some common ground is tariffs. Braun told me that although tariffs can be useful, they're not a long-term tool, and he believes tariffs that President Trump has imposed on China won't work. Indiana soybean farmers are among those taking a hit from retaliatory tariffs.
They imposed tariffs on farmers simply because they knew that was probably one of Trump's most popular, loyal groups, knowing they were most susceptible to where they can't take that.
Now, tomorrow at 6, we go beyond the podium with Indiana's 2nd District congressional race. WSBT 22's Bob Montgomery begins our coverage with incumbent Republican Jackie Walorski.
A chance for those in need to get some help during the holidays. Up next here at 6, why officials in Elkhart are expecting more people to apply for assistance.
For the first time in almost 3 weeks, we're above average. 63 the high, 56 is the average. Some of you flirting near 70, especially near Valparaiso and Rensselaer and over towards Crown Point. We'll look ahead to, unfortunately, some cooler air, but trick-or-treat forecast is also coming your way in just a few minutes.
You're watching WSBT 22 News at 6.
Elkhart's Salvation Army is now accepting applications for its Christmas assistance program.
It is. It provides toys, personal care baskets, and help with rent and utilities. Organizers expect a larger turnout this year, serving up to 800 families for this. And many of those will include some renters impacted by flooding earlier this year.
We are seeing some families that have some lasting impact from the flooding we had in February that are coming and saying, look, we had to expend our little bit of savings that we had. We had to cash in on some retirement savings, and so things are tight for us.
The Salvation Army says some RV workers are worried about where the industry is headed as well.
It's a battle like no other. Costumes, dancing, and singing, all for a good cause. The Center for the Homeless will host Lip Sync with the Stars at the Hilton Garden Inn in South Bend on Friday. The event helps fund services for the 200 people that call the center home every night. The performers with the most votes will win the coveted title, and each vote costs $35.
On any given day, we'd have about 50 children who live at the Center for the Homeless. And as we know, any child experiencing homelessness is one too many. And so this event, again, with $35 a day to have a child live at the center, that's what it costs for a vote.
And to vote or donate winter hats and gloves to the center, make sure to go to WSBT.com and click on the First at 4 section under the News tab.
All right, want to give you a live look outside from our Elkhart Sky Cam. Today's clouds will soon make way for some rain tonight, and Matt's going to time it all out for you in your First Alert forecast next.
Now, your accurate First Alert weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Matt Rudkin.
All right, First Alert Storm Tracker radar showing rain showers between Rockford and Chicago, Illinois. Those are heading east, but we'll see continued development later on tonight south of there ahead of a cold front. No problems this evening if you're heading out or have to do anything outside. No problems. Live look in Winona Lake, the Warsaw area, mostly cloudy skies. We can look at the water there. Obviously no rain falling from the clouds. Temperatures It really depends on where you live, but no matter where you live, these are above average. Normal highs in the middle to upper 50s. Everybody except for Portland Grange is in the 60s, even 70s. 70 in Valpo, 65 LaPorte, 63 in South Bend, 62 Goshen, Dowagiac. It is 60 down the road in Sturgis. A wide view of temperatures. A lot of colors, which indicate a lot of weather systems or a weather system out there. Nice surge of warmth ahead of the cold front. The cold front is right there. And it will go through as we head towards late evening and overnight. So there it is. The warm front's gone through. Temperatures actually warm up a little bit through the evening before they crash tomorrow morning. But the good news is cooler air is almost always drier air. So that should get rid of the rain in time for trick-or-treating. Let me show you Futurecast. Here's 11 o'clock this evening. Showers and storms increase in coverage through the overnight. Some of these will be heavy in the form of heavy rain, not strong thunderstorms. We're not expecting severe weather or anything, but some heavy rain with these through the overnight could pick up a ½ inch or better, but it's out of here. Here's 1 o'clock. Start getting off work and school in the afternoon. Here's 5 o'clock. We're talking mostly cloudy skies. The one thing I want to mention is when dry air wraps around the backside, it physically can squeeze out the moisture left up there in the clouds. Models don't pick up on that. Sometimes when that happens, you get drizzle. So heads up, I think almost everybody will be dry tomorrow. If you get a little bit of drizzle or light rain, it will not last long. But I know that can really affect some of the Halloween costumes. So keep that in the back of your head. Right now, we're going to keep the forecast dry because it's going to be few and far between, if any, rain showers. Upper 40s tomorrow morning. Best chance for rain will be in the morning. Peaks of sun by late afternoon. Temperatures in the 50s. It'll be breezy as well, with north and northwest winds up to about 15 miles an hour. Temperatures a bit below average as we head towards the weekend, but you'll notice that warming trend as we head towards next week, back into the upper 50s and low 60s. But the one thing I want to remind you of, when you start to warm up like this in November, it's almost always accompanied with wet weather. So do expect that, although we'll be warmer in the 60s. Certainly good chances for rain by early and mid next week. Jen and Todd.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. Good to be a Notre Dame football fan right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. Fighting Irish stay undefeated as they head into the final month of the regular season. And tonight, the very first college football playoff rankings come out. That'll be fun to see, and it will, of course, be the talk of the nation. But it's not what Brian Kelly would like to be talking about. I'll explain why that is next in sports.
This sports segment on WSBT 22 is sponsored by your Platinum Chevy dealers. Now, sports with Pete Byrne.
What up until now has been speculation could become reality tonight. At 8-0, Notre Dame looks to be solidly in control of its own destiny. And when the first college football playoff rankings are released later this evening, we will know for sure. But a word to the wise. Being ranked in the top 4 tonight guarantees you nothing. The Irish were in the top 4 last season, you may recall, as well as in 2015. And neither squad ended up winning out and making the playoffs. So don't expect Brian Kelly to be too concerned about where the Irish are tonight in the rankings. What he really wants is to be there in 5 weeks.
I want to pay attention to the last one. I mean, that's the one that really matters. Does this matter, this one? Do they put you in the playoffs for this one? I don't think so. So, as I told our team, this one really doesn't matter. We've been down this road before. You know, we've been selected for this one, but it doesn't get you anything. So, for us, the one that we're interested in, the one that we'll watch, probably we'll watch it as a team, is the last one.
The playoff rankings will be released tonight at 7 o'clock. Notre Dame is at Northwestern this weekend. You can hear Kelly's thoughts on that game right now. Just head to WSBT.com. Also tonight, the reigning national champs hit the court for the very first time this season. Notre Dame women's basketball will face Lewis University in its only exhibition. It will be the first game action for Brianna Turner in 19 months, and we will show you how the Irish look back here tonight at 11. And later this week, Mike Bray's team will play its first exhibition contest. The Irish will host Central State on Thursday. We spoke with Coach Mike Bray this afternoon, who says these games are important for his young roster.
I think this week now, you know, today we start 2 days of kind of game prep for Thursday, and then Thursday is a game day, shoot around, pregame meal. Tomorrow night we'll have our mass after practice and our team dinner. So for those 5 of them, anything we can do to keep rehearsing is important, given the young guys have to play.
So 2 basketball games on the schedule this week, 2 hockey games, and a football game over on campus. Things are getting busy.
Not much going on.
Yeah, other than that, not much.
Yeah, all right, we'll be right back.
All right. right, some rain overnight, but more importantly, the next night is what everybody's looking at, right?
Doesn't look too bad. We'll see rain tomorrow morning. Should give way to a fairly dry, if not completely dry, trick-or-treating time. So that's the good news. Temperatures next few days below average, but then starting to warm up as we head into the second week of November. But a reminder, almost always this time of year, when you warm up, it's accompanied with a weather system, which means rain and storms. So pretty soggy through a good chunk of November.
All right. Matt, thanks. Our next news is tonight at 10 on Fox Michiana. We'll be back here at 11.
Have a good night.